we were discussing while we are celebrating the Independence Day, it is also very pertinent that we try to be really independent. That is dependent inside to the source. Okay, when Brother Sanjay Mahalingam Swami was talking to him and he was discussing some of the spiritual questions, he got almost 40 interviews with Bhagwan. And then, one fine day, I mean, as we read books, we read and we talk, Swami said, remember spirituality. And again, it is again pertinent to Sanjay in general, communicated to all. But sometimes, Lord, when he gives a message, it is applicable to a particular person. So he said, don't use force, tap the source. So what he wanted and what Brother Sanjay explained is force is when we are trying to read, do all this and remain at that level. That means it is an acquired knowledge. It's an acquired system that we are bringing into our, being. It is not inquired, but acquired. So when you are going outside, it becomes force. And when you are going inside, it becomes source. And that is where independent and intuition, the tuition that we going to take outside, when we get to take it from inside, it becomes intuition. So these two things become important for us to connect within. And that is where one of these 2 weeks when we connect helps us to collectively come together, share our positive energies, spiritual energies, raise our level of vibration together, and then move on with our life in the next following 2 weeks. Satsang is a communion with God, and it's fire that does not burn, but it burns what we are not. So it's very important to have this fire ignited and simmering all the way, so that slowly, gradually spreads and starts burning. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. The jyoti, the light, the flame, the fire, the warmth, when it comes, it should be able to destroy not only the darkness, all the impurities, all the raga, dvesha, the arsh, the vargas, all these things which has deposited, slowly it can remove it. And that is why satsang is important. Moving on, it's also something where we come to recharge ourselves. We come to reach out to Bhagwan, collectively, not understanding that he's already there, who is waiting for us, all right, for this particular moment. And he's waiting every moment there. We don't realize this actually, till those incidents happen in our life, which shows us. And I'm sure we are going to share some of these experiences. I was talking to my sister, and maybe in the next session or next session, we'll expand a little bit on the experiences that we had, in this, how Bhagwan has been kind. So during those time, we understand the omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence, but gradually again the world engulfs us, and we move on, forgetting about it. This session also helps us to purify, integrate, and synergize thought, word, and deed. Okay, and heart, head, and hand. And this is important for us. So all these aspects are the goalposts or the KPIs, and we come together on Sundays to keep ourselves recalibrate and realign. Now, just a recap of what we had in the session, because I told this is going to be concluding. It was supposed to be last, but we could not. And so just to recap, we started with karma, destiny, whose will, whether destiny can be overcome or it has to be born, with the way it is. Are we ill-fated, or we can change the course of this by some ways? So we all understood that there is prarabdha karma from a sanchit karma, which is accumulated over lives and lives that we have existed. We get a portion to come out as a prarabdha karma, and then we move on, we start doing new karmas, which is agami, deciding the agami karma. And then again we die with certain portion which goes back into the sanchit karma, unless we have neutralized, consciously being aware that this is the game plan, this is how the rules of engagement work, as explained by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and beautifully expounded in thousands of discourses through writing and written through Vahinis by Bhagwan, right? So the tug of war of my will or his will, right? Who writes the destiny? All these things we started with in weeks back session, and gradually and slowly, when we started crawling, we got up and started walking. Now we hope we can run a bit and understand it deeper, so that we apply in our lives. Now, what were the few important things we said? We said what we think we radiate. Okay, and then that comes back as a reflection, because we tap that particular negative or positive vibration reservoir up there, from these energy clouds that has been created by various consciousness. So it all depends on what we radiate, we are going to receive it back. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. We spoke about how Bhagwan emphasizes that as you sow a thought, you reap an action, you reap an action, you reap a habit, you reap a habit, you reap a tendency, reap a tendency, reap a character, and you sow a character, reap a destiny. This was again deliberated in the weeks preceding. Energy transfers when we come across individuals, books, videos, or whatever things we see, positive or negative, they all have an impact on our being, right? Just because the aura or the vibration which is around our self and our soul and a being is not seen doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists, and not only it exists, it engulfs, it impacts, and it influences us. So that's an important thing we deliberated, and how scientifically it has been measured. Okay, we spoke about the Rudram chanting and the Kulwant Hall experiment, which was done by the Sputnik sensors. And Brother Amit Deshpande's video where he talks about this. One of the doctors, I don't remember the name now, but he happened to measure and he saw that energy in Kulwant Hall with normal scenario was almost 3 times the normal, the average energy that is found. And when the Rudram and chanting started, it went manifold. So these were a few things. Then we spoke about the brain waves. You see, always remember, your kundalini, your chakras, when you remember the motion and the movement of the chakras as you start evolving is upwards, and finally it goes up, and then sahasra, and then it moves on. That is why, it is said that when the realized souls leave the body, usually it is from the tip of the head, right? So you have an opening there, but otherwise there are 9 openings in the body, and the exit of a normally decent spiritual man, it is said, happens through mouth, nose, or the eyes. And then as the yoni or as the experiences or as karmas has been better or bad, then it finds a different ways of releasing. So important part is brain that we spoke about. The it may be a physical brain, but the attributes it has of of generating those waves and the vibration which influences us and our being and the surroundings, that was shared. Beta, alpha, theta, and delta waves, and the most predominant being gamma waves, which is like a turiya state with mahasamadhi state, where you are completely into a super conscious level, right? So this was spoken about, and then how we can change over these to make a conscious effort to step into a new being, right? Because we were talking about, can destiny be overcome, can destiny be managed? So these were the topics important. Now before we venture into further, I would let's pay to what Swami is saying, and then we discuss a little bit on what Swami is saying here.
आपके हिसाब से नहीं मेरे हिसाब से स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट गुजरात और स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट ऐसा है, उसका एक बोल सकता है.
And Swami often opened up his heart to the members of his entourage.
Boys are I'm giving love. You are giving heart. नहीं बोलता अंदर में कितना पेन है यार. नो दुनिया ऐसा एक चपाती चेंज करता है, देखो फ्राई करने के ऐसे चेंज कर सकता है, बट इट इज नॉट माय सिस्टम.
Let us also gather at his lotus feet.
So brothers and sisters, what we saw in this video, very short time glimpse of the omnipotence of the Lord. When he says that log jaisa chapati turn karta hai, what he said was, just as people can turn chapati, I can turn the entire world. I can turn the entire course of events. Brothers and sisters, this can only come from the super consciousness, right? The one who has created, the one who has made it. And that's an important part of a statement, a reassurance. While he's saying all that, he's saying that I can do that. That means he chooses not to do it because we have desired more than we have deserved in our prayers when we want him to intervene. And that is an important thing we must keep in mind, that yes, there is a possibility to overcome destiny, to reshape it, to redefine it, to refine it, to reform it, to transform it, but only when we come to the level of his consideration for a grace. All right, let's move on. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Let's look at this. There was Professor Raghunath Safaya in the 80s. So he was in the department, he was in Satsai Institute of Higher Learning. History and psychology was his subject. And he was a very famous astrologer, palmist. He used to take a lot of interest and he used to do that predictions. See, in one of the interview, Dr. Safaya was called, and then Swami said, you seem to have a great faith in the predictive sciences, but tell me, does your predictive science prevent anything to happen? So you're talking about, okay, this is going to happen. And do you believe that as per your surrender, I will take care? In proportion to the surrender, I assure you that I can take care. And then Swami taunted the professor. Professor, your sciences can only predict, they cannot intervene, right? So through astrology and palmistry, suggested some remedial measures and all. And then he asked Dr. Safaya, okay, tell me what is there written in your lines in the palms. So can you show me, can you see that and tell me? So Dr. Safai, who has seen his hand many times, he thought it not important because he knew his lines by heart. And Swami said, no, insisted. And then Swami took his hands and just rubbed a little bit and then tell me what is there in your lines. So Dr. Safaya then opens up his palm to see his lines. And brothers and sisters, what he saw was there was not a single line in his palm. There was not a single line. All the lines, all the years that he has been talking about, his palmistry, his astrology, the lines disappeared, fizzled out. And then he had no answers. And, now with no lines, what does life hold for you? So you were predicting your life, all the basis of the line, and there are no more lines. Now this astrologer who has invested so much of his time, faith and everything in palmistry, he had no answers. Tears started rolling from his eyes. And Swami said, don't worry, sir. Once you surrender to me, I take care of everything. Whether line or no line. Darare hai mathe pe Maula. Marammat mukaddar ki kar de tu Maula. This is a song that we sang when 2009 Singapore group went. There are lines and lines and, distortions all over in my kismat, in my destiny. Marammat mukaddar ki kar de. You please repair it. And this is what is so important for us to believe wholeheartedly, that yes, our Maula, our Sai has got everything. We just saw in the previous video that he can change it. And then Swami rubbed his hands again and the lines came back. And Swami said that when you surrender, he holds. When he holds, he molds us and into a gold. Dr. Safai, brothers and sisters, what he did, he came out of the interview crying. He straight away went to the students. And the first lecture he gave, my hair is standing as I speak. He went to the students and he said, students, there is nothing more that you need to know about palmistry. Just surrender to Bhagavan. And you see, trust me, astrology, palmistry are nothing compared to Swami's grace. His grace is more powerful than any of the fate, destiny. So just surrender. And that is the power. Once you have the blessing of this palm, know for sure that no lines on any other palm can ever affect you. Surrender, surrender, and surrender. Sharanagati, Sharanagati, Sharanagati. That's the only thing what the masters, the great realized souls, the great devotees, the bhakti, proponents have shown us that this is the only way we can reach. So this was a very touching thing to me, even because my father also is a great astrologer and palmistry. So what Dr. Safaya did after he came out, he threw all the books in, I think, Chitravati. That's what was written there or in the interview. He threw it into Chitravati.
Right on, brother Bindu.
Yeah.
I was there, actually, he was also, I was there studying, and Dr. Safaya.
Please, brother.
Yeah. Only one thing, that fond memory of him is that after this incident, I think every Thursday he used to share with us about the Bhajagovinda slokas and Narada Bhakti Sutras. So
Okay.
for a long time, yeah, he has given up all of that. And yeah, just I wanted to share. So it's
Beautiful.
actually, as you said, Sharanagati, like you have to get back to the roots. Yeah.
Get back to the roots. Beautiful, brother. Thanks. I'm so happy that you shared this, brother, because a lot of times we all trust on whatever it is, but it adds a lot of emotion to it when you share being there, and I'm sure we all connected to that fact, and reinforce that yes, surrender has answer to everything. It's like a panacea, surrender. Okay, good, brother. Please, whenever you have this kind, please intervene. And then, okay, so now again, now we have seen this part, right? Lines, all Swami saying, Chapati ke jaisa I can turn and all. Now, where do we stand? Me or God? His will or my will? Let's look at it. Can destiny be overcome? And what it means, yes, if we surrender and by His grace, destiny can be overcome, remade, reshaped. And now the my will goes away from here, only His will remains. And this is a fact, brothers and sisters. The fact that we consider that He has given us free will is the very fact that we are distant from Him. We are distant from the fact that He exists, that we are embodiments of divine. And this testimony that my will exists tells us that the distance is really far. We are yet to travel a lot of distance, right? To make this understanding, because there's nothing but His will. If everything exists here, it is His will, right? He chose us, so we are breathing. Do you make a conscious effort to actually digest your food? No, you don't. Do you make a conscious effort to for the lungs to operate, for this to pump? Do you give a command, okay, heart start pumping and all? No, you don't. So what is happening? His will is working. There is a system, operating system He has created, which is by His grace and will and His His sankalpa, things are working. Why is sun rising in the east? Why not in the west? And we say sun rises, sun never rises. It's the earth which is moving, but that's the way we have conditioned our mind to several illusions, right? So His sankalpa is making it work. Destiny can be overcome. Things can change, provided we have. And this is why our regular regular satsang thought for the day, I was holding it because there was an intended arrival of this particular thing during the course of our discussion. Now here, let's get to this now. When you wake up, feel that you are entering to play the role assigned. Now things are getting clear, right? As we have spoken all these weeks, we know that we are in a drama, we are in a stage, we are in a play. Just as you sleep and you dream, you think the dream to be real. When you wake up, you think, no, this is real and that is not real. But in sleep, that was real for you. You never existed like this as you are existing now. Similarly, the moment we leave the body and we go, as has been recorded in several near-death experiences, which I've seen and read about, and also in several cases where people have said that yes, this was never a real thing and that is real. So what is real? It's very important. So we are here for a role play. At night when you retire to sleep, Bhagwan says, feel that you are entering the green room, but with the costume of the role on, like Bindu or a father or, brother or a son, our costume is on until he wills it to be on. For perhaps the role is not yet over. Perhaps you have not been permitted to take the costume. Perhaps you have to make another entrance. Again, the word perhaps is very powerful. We spoke about it, that it says that we cannot take life for granted. The next day we'll wake up, oh, everything. We have to be in the sense of gratitude. Brothers and sisters, I was listening to some of these neuroscientists, one of the videos, how they scientifically they've proven the sense of gratitude. Remember, sense of gratitude has got so much of vibration and powerful vibration it emanates. It changes the being in us. Okay. And they were expounding it, the value and the importance of that's why Bhagwan said yad bhavam tad bhavati, not yad vicharam tad bhavati. Yes, it starts with a thought, but the thought itself is only an electrical impulse. It's only when the feelings emanate, which is a magnetic impulse. And the universe is a law of attraction, right? So for anything to be attracted, it has to be magnetic in nature. So when your feelings from the thoughts start emanating, and the electrical impulse from this electromagnetic thing radiates in the atmosphere, it starts attracting what feelings come out. So feelings are very, very important. Very important. That means your heart has to be engaged. Just by thinking, I will be a millionaire, I will be a million, you can't be. If we have to feel, we have to work, we have to be intensely emotionally connected to that, and that is where things starts changing. So perhaps you have to make another entrance. Do not worry about that. Place yourself fully at his disposal, as brother was talking about Sharanagati. What we saw before was Sharanagati. Place fully at his disposal. He knows, he has written the play. He knows how it will go on, how it will end. Now let's look at what are the few important messages hidden in this particular thought for the day. Karma, all is God's work. Do duty to please God, to play the role assigned to you, to earn his approbation, right? When we talk about that, what kind of karma should we do? Live in the present. Perhaps you have to make another entrance. So let us live in the present and not worry about future. This is the day he has given us a role today. We did it well, or we could not do it. Sorry, Swami, help us to do it better. These kind of things we must have in our daily interactions. Faith, do not worry about that. That is implicit faith we must have. A most important ingredient for Sharanagati is faith. Place yourself fully at his disposal is Sharanagati. And then he has written the play. He knows it, how it will go on. Destiny, that the thing we say that, how it is going on. It is his will. He has written. We are just an actor. And last is, yours is but to act and retire. Brothers and sisters will expound a little more on this. Nishkama karma, right? That is desireless action. And everything started with positive attitude and a deep interest. Unless you have a positive attitude and interest in doing things, it will not carry us far. Whether it is relationship, whether it is devotion to Bhagwan, because devotion is after all what? It's a relationship with God, right? So anything must have a bedrock, the root as deep interest. And then once you start engaging, the faith starts coming in, right? Unless you come into that relation, until you show that relation, how will you know whether you can trust or you cannot trust? That is where the trust starts. The faith starts. And remember, there is a difference between having a faith and having a trust. Now, you remember in India, in several countries, we see these crossbars made of wooden bamboo, and there's a rope hanging between the two corners, and there's a man who walks on the rope, right? On with a wheel or something, and then he shows that circus, right? And then he picks up his child, he balances the child in the single rope and walks around. Now you all clap, we all clap, we all have seen it, we believe it, and we are fantastic about it. Now next comes, he asks one of the audience, the child in their arm, 2-year-old, can you give me, I'll carry that. No, the audience doesn't give. But then you just saw me doing it. So they believed, but they didn't have faith. They didn't have the trust. So it was different, the belief and faith. You can see the difference. If I had the trust or I had the faith, I would have handed over the child. So that is important for us to understand. Are we believing or we are having full faith? So once you have deep interest, the faith comes in. Once the faith comes in, we start looking into the big picture. We start understanding why it is happening. Once we start understanding, acceptance comes in. Yesterday we sent out that acceptance meter. Please keep measuring yourself. Have we accepted this will of God? Have we accepted? The moment you change the gear from my will to his will, brothers and sisters, your acceptance proportion is going to increase. The intensity is going to increase. We'll understand that, right? Once the acceptance comes in, surrender or Sharanagati comes in, right? So things starts with a deep interest. Now let's look at this video on what Swami is trying to tell us.
How to reach? How to reach? देखो अभी आफ्टर लंच आफ्टर डिनर टिफिन स्वामी जी के पास जल्दी जल्दी आ सकता है, ट्राई करता है. ये किसी में बैक सीट में हो सकता है, ये किसी में फ्रंट सीट में मिल सकता है. तुम्हारी इंटरेस्ट प्रेम दैट इज लव, दैट इज तुमको कितना जल्दी आता है बैठता है. और मैंने दूर बैठता है बस. इस प्रत्यक्ष स्वामी जी के नियर स्वामी कितना जल्दी जाने की बहुत इच्छा है. इनर फोर्स स्वामी ఇంటర్నల్ ఒక అఫెక్షన్ బాగా ఉంచి ఉంటే నేను వచ్చేసేస్తావు దగ్గరికి. ఇంటర్నల్ అఫెక్షన్ సరిగా లేకపోతే దూరంగా కూర్చుంటాం.
The question is how to reach God. Bhagavan gives us an example of just what is happening now. Worldly example. Now we are there in the dining hall. When Bhagavan sits here, we'll run immediately, we'll dash, we'll rush at high speed and take the first seat. Why? Because of the interest we have. When there is affection inner, internal
No
affection,
interest,
then we go there.
affection, that's it.
When we don't have that interest, when there's no internal affection, we will have the back seat.
అసలు ఇట్లా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ అఫెక్షన్ రెండు ఉంటుంటే ఫోర్స్ చేస్తుంది.
When there's interest and affection coupled together, that will force you.
In a series of discourses on the Bhagavad Gita, delivered in 1984, Swami said, "You are all here in this hall, and Swami also is in this hall. But when you go back to your village, you would see no hall and no Swami speaking. However, if you look inside, you would see it all."
And that is important when we started this day saying that independent intuition is because we have to start looking within. We all have come from Prashanti Nilayam. We had his beautiful darshan or sambhashan or, sparsham. In whatever way we could establish the samipyam, the nearness with Lord. Once you come back, the real bliss, when you noted that, that was pleasure, happiness when you saw it. But the real bliss is when you cherish it for long. Sustained happiness is equal to bliss. And causeless happiness is bliss. That means there's no agenda. You feel happy about it. You feel blissful about it. And that becomes a bliss. All right. So let's move on. Very important, deep interest. That is why we are all sitting here, or we are, in our individual sadhana, remembering our masters, our Swami in the way we are. But somewhere when we face problems, we start questioning him. So that maybe some answers is going to become. So based on all those discussions, again, this particular sloka of chapter 2, verse 47 is very important. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phale tu bhurmate sangotsva karmani. So it says about you have the right to do an action, but not on the results of the action. Again, it's not something that we should start thinking of inaction. So let's not do any action, so no result. Even if you don't do action, there is action happening subconsciously within our system, our body, right? And desisting from inaction is deplorable. And that is what Krishna always tells Arjuna during the battlefield. In fact, the few chapters is just to encourage him, clear his doubts, and the real Gita begins after that. So it's important that the initial few chapters, Arjuna is loaded with questions. And why did Arjuna get the Bhagavad Gita, right? So before that, a test was given. Bhagwan also tests. And that is the test when Krishna said, before I do it, it's in the Gita Vahini, let me just see whether he fits into the bill. So they were walking around and Krishna said, "Oh Arjuna, can you see the beautiful parrot over there?" "Oh Lord, yes, it's a parrot." Okay. And then Krishna says, No, I think Arjuna, it is crow. Arjuna says, yes, Swami, that was my mistake, it is crow. And then he says, no, I think it's a pigeon. And there were 4 or 5 birds which kept on repeating, and Arjuna kept on saying, yes. And then Krishna said, you don't have mind of your own, you're just copying what I'm saying, you can't see what actually it is. And Arjuna, you know what he replies? He replies that, my Lord, I have no will of mine to see. I know that even if it is a parrot and you are saying a crow, it will change into a crow. That was the faith, the deep trust Arjuna had in Krishna, right? So that is why he was considered after this particular test that, okay, he is suitable to get it. Again, he did not get the Virat Swarupa. Krishna said, I'm going to give you the vision because these eyes cannot sustain. So he gave him the vision to see the Virat Swarupa. Yeah, and when interestingly I was listening to the Bhagavad Vahini, some of the narrations, Swami has beautifully said, it was the 2 times that Krishna showed the Virat Swarupa. One is in the battlefield, and one is when he went for the peace making mission to Duryodhana. Even to Duryodhana, he had seen the Virat Swarupa that time to convince him that what you are doing is wrong. And look at the irony of Duryodhana. He's saying that, Lord, I know what is right and what is wrong. I know I'm doing it wrong, but I just can't help it. And I think he resembles this particular statement to a lot of us. When we come to the crossroads, we know our conscience tells us we are doing it wrong. Brothers and sisters, that's the time we think either we have a choice to become a Duryodhana or an Arjuna, right? If you have a Sai as a charioteer inside, this reminds me, charioteer, there reminds us a small sidetracking a bit. When Swami Vivekananda was a child, he had alternating dreams to become a millionaire or to become a, sadhak. And he had the potential. Ramakrishna Paramahansa says in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, it is stated that Ramakrishna Paramahansa say that he had a potential to become a millionaire or anything that he decided because of the fiber or the DNA, spiritual DNA that had. And then he said, no, he decided to become what he became, right? To follow this particular path. And one day, as he was discussing with the mother, Bhuvneshwari Devi, and he said, I want to be a charioteer. And these were discussions. He was trying to test his mother whether she will allow or not. And so he said, I want to be a charioteer. And his mother, what she did? You look at the mothers. They were not educated. They were not literate, but they were educated. They were evolved. They were wise. They might not have knowledge literal, but they were full of wisdom. So she bragged him, brought him to the puja altar and said, if you ever want to be a charioteer, driver or whatever, be like Krishna, because he was a charioteer. So when you want to be like Krishna, first you have to be Krishna, right? Become Krishna. So this is an important thing where mothers play such an important role in shaping the destiny of not only the child, but also the nation in some way when they make or, mar the future of a child. So very important. All the sisters here, they are doing a great job in doing it. Please be aware that when you are shaping a child, when you're growing up a child, when you're nurturing and sending him to school, it is not just a physical activity you're doing. You be aware with two things. One is that you are a trustee. Bhagwan has given you a responsibility to your child. So it's not an ownership, but a trusteeship. And second thing is be aware that every teaching of yours is going to impact nation or the society in some way or the other. Right? So sorry for the digression. Let's get back. So important part here we were talking about is not to be aware about what you are doing. Right? But is it possible? Even a stupid, like this particular sloka in Sanskrit, Prayojanam anudasya na mandopi prachodayat. Even a stupid person, if he does something, he has a motive. We all have motive. Something or other will always be. It's impossible not to have some motive. But can we direct that motive to a higher self, to a higher cause, to a higher plane? It's called sublimation, right? So, and that is important. That is where the Nishkama Karma, all these teachings of Bhagavan helps us to understand and give up. And there Swami says in this Gita Vahini, he says the Nishkama Karma commands that a man should give up attachment to the motive in order to remain untroubled by success or failure. This way we can accept our success, failure, pleasure or pain as God's will. Again, it brings us back to surrender. It's only when you have faith raised to awareness, acceptance and surrender, right? And three types of activity that can earn, Bhagavan says in the Satya Sai Vahini. Of course, I have not read this Vahini. I picked up from somewhere with this particular three because it was pertinent to our discussion. Nishkama Karma, the first thing that can earn his grace is Nishkama activity, which we do it by selflessness and thinking that, yes, God, whatever is the result, it's yours. That reaches him. Niswartha Prema, that means you are loving somebody without a cause. So causeless love, that means there is no agenda. He's not my child or my child. Or even if you're doing to your child with a sense of detachment that I'm doing it because I've been entrusted and I'm presenting a good child in the society, again, that becomes a part of, in a way, it becomes, yes, selfless. That's what Swami told Seema Diwan, that remember the children are through you, not from you. So always do with that feeling. And third is Nirmal Hriday Prarthana. When a prayer emanates from a simple, unsullied heart, Nischal heart, that is answered. So if our prayer is not answered, somewhere we are making mistake. And then in Gita Vani, Bhagavan says the Bhagavad Gita prescribes Nishkama Karma as the prerequisite for a peaceful life. All right. The prayers that reach me, look at this, and instantly granted are the universal prayers, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. And that's why, brothers and sisters, when this thing we try to do on Thursdays now, or when we were doing daily, or the whole world when it is doing a prayer during COVID times, we have seen everyone pitching in, right? It reaches Bhagavan. Why? Because you are praying for somebody you have not seen, you have not connected to. There is no self-attached. And obviously it will make the Lord helpless to listen to your prayers. Of course, his or her accounts will be checked and, all those things will come in. But sometimes the potential, the intensity of prayer overpowers all the destiny constraints and Lord becomes majboor, helpless to respond. Selfish prayers hardly reach me since they get redirected to, now look at this, selfish prayers. That means when we make a daily prayer, oh God, do my son this one or my child this one or my promotion. He says, gets directed automatically to respective deities of heavenly departments in charge of fulfilling prayer. So they will check your account, they will check this man has balance, no balance, like that, like that, like that. But selfless prayers goes to the head office, boom, it is granted. Okay. Always pray for the highest good in charge of fulfilling prayers, highest good of others. When you have such a purity of heart, you do not even have to pray. Now look at this statement. If you are so pure, unsullied, that means there is no raga, dvesha, nothing, unblemished heart. There's no reason to pay. It is because it is already connected, all the time connected, right? You're in the Wi-Fi, you know the password, you are connected. You don't have to enter the password every now and then. Every now and then you have entered password once. Now, even if you go out of your house, you come back to the house, phone will get connected again to the same Wi-Fi. Why? Because you have unsullied heart. So the password is Namasmarana, Saranagati, love for God. And when you do that, all the three that Bhagwan has said, Nirmay Hridaya Prarthana, you get connected. And Bhagwan says, nothing gives me greater happiness than conferring my grace on such a devotee. All right. So it's an important conclusion as we come towards this Nishkama Karma. Remember, we may be helplessly watching this. Sometimes it's inevitable, but let's try to be conscious, monitor of what kind of karmas we are attaching fruits to. Now, let's say you're doing a brush. You're not thinking, oh, my teeth is going to shine. And that cannot be considered as a Nishkama Karma. Okay. The karma that you consciously do and which is pregnant with a lot of your ambition and wishes and fruits, expectations, that is sakama karma, right? So from sakama we have to get to nishkama. Let's move on. Do karma but not hanker after food. Do not complain. Bhagwan says that you did not get public recognition. Now look at this. This is a very important declaration. He said, do not complain that you do not get public recognition. We had this guy who donated fan in the Anchorage. And when he went to see how is the fan, he could not see his name because his name were written on the blades. And then he told the guy, why I'm not seeing? The guy slowed down to 1, the speed 1, and then he could see the name. He said, please run it at this speed because my name should be visible. And that's what Bhagwan says. Do not complain that you did not get public recognition. Fruits, whether good or bad, you have to consume. So the best way of liberating yourself from consequences is to ignore the fruit and do the karma for sake of karma. You will not be burdened with either papa or punya. If you crave for profit, you will have to be prepared to accept the loss, correct? If we say we want this, then we have to also be ready. If you want to buy a car, we have to be ready for the battery going down in the highway and suffer that, because the one which brings you pleasure, remember, these are impermanent things, right? So when you choose to invest your emotion, energy and love and your money and your life for something worldly, there is always the automatic hidden baggage of misery which comes with us. Car gets punctured on the highway, the same car gives you a problem. The battery is down, engine is down, these things. So that's what Swami says. If you construct a well for where 4 roads meet, look at this beautiful example, only Lord can give. He says, expecting to get merit from people who want to drink water, right? You have constructed a well. Okay. So those people drinking will give you a merit, accumulated merit. But remember, Swami says, if anybody drops into the well, that demerit also comes to you, brothers and sisters. Now, look at the precision that we have to adapt in life to know that each karma carries so much of side effects, or I would say direct effects. So it's important that we remain conscious of these factors, all right? Absolutely conscious. Okay. You cannot. If you fan a person out of love, you can leave off when you must. But a pankha wala accepting wages has to continue whether he likes it or not. Give up the desire for remuneration and you are free. Correct? So that is an important part. Ask for it and you get bound. That is the secret of karma phala tyaga. Karma phala tyaga. So when we are talking about renunciation, when we are talking about detachment, it's not from the friends, families, it is from the fruits, from the results of the efforts that you put towards friends or families. And that is why I think it was not possible in social scenario in the days of Satyuga or Dwapar Yuga eventually. That's why it was said forest. You know the word forest? It has got meaning for rest. For rest of what? Rest of mind. That's why people used to go, when you know the sadhus and the sadhaks, they go to the forest, is basically because they are heading for cutting off from all these belongings and these scenarios so that they can concentrate and focus only to the Lord within. That is why the name forest. And that's why in Hindi, you see, when we cross 50 years, it becomes Ikyavan, Bavan. One in Hindi means forest. So that is what it has been earlier stated, or why it came in, was basically people should start retreating the mind towards the forest mentality. That means solitude. Okay, not loneliness. Remember, there is a difference between loneliness and solitude. Professor G. Venkatraman explained it beautifully. Loneliness is out of deha bhimana. That means somebody has left you, somebody deserted you, money gone, this gone, you are lonely. But solitude is atma bhivana. You have chosen to be alone, to connect to the divine. And that is the very important difference between solitude and loneliness. All right, coming back to Nishkama Karma. Yes, so an important attribute, how we can achieve this Nishkama Karma, as Bhagavan has said, is Udasin Bhava. Now, what is this Udasin Bhava? He says the other quality of devotee to be free from egoism and possessiveness should get the idea of doership, and one should get rid of the idea of doership and ownership. Krishna has declared in Gita, such a devotee is dear to me. Such a devotee naturally develops detachment towards the world, indifferent to the happenings of the phenomenal world, is indifferent to place or blame. Now, just think about it. I always have this, try to do analysis, and I fail quite a few times, where something you have not done, you're honestly doing your job, but you get misquoted or misread, or it's not understood correctly because people are taking out different reason. Okay, so then you start getting hurt. But why should we get hurt? Why? These things are clearing a lot of fundamentals in us, that we did our action out of pure sincerity, purity, and thoughtfulness, and we dedicated. Now, if there is action is giving good result or a bad result, accept it and move on. Don't get infected. The moment we get affected means we are attaching a lot of ego factor into it, a lot of body reaction. And you remember, every reaction, brothers and sisters, every reaction is adding to the kitty of the Sanchit karma, which is going to again merge into the Prarabdha karma. Only respond, don't react. Okay, that's an important part. Everyone in the divine mission unaffected by success or failure, joy or sorrow. So you can see this scale over here. To remain balanced, samadhi. Samadhi is what? Samabuddhi. Okay, that's why the name Pandit. Pandit is somebody who is samadarshina, that is equipoised, stoic, whether loss or gain. Remain balanced. All right. It is difficult in this world. We all know that, and that is why Bhagavan has beautifully explained us so many things. And then he says, don't worry about all that. Just love me. Just do namasmarana. Just have unsullied heart. Just pray to me. Reach me. Surrender to me. Worship me. All the rituals do to me. Love me and only me. This fidelity he wants 100%. Correct? That's the only thing. Can we not even do that? While doing everything mechanically, surrendering to the fruits of action, at least do this emotionally. Let's move on. Now, how do we surrender? Just as the magnetic compass points north, brothers and sisters, let us always point towards Swami. Let us, our heart always, ye dil mange, only Swami, not more, only Swami, more and more of Swami. And that is like a magnetic compass. Let us be hooked on the direction fixed. In fact, when I remember the story when Guru Nanak Ji and one of his famous disciple, Muslim disciple, Mardana, they were all going towards Kaaba, and they took some rest under a tree. Now, when Guru Nanak Ji rested under a tree, his feet was pointing towards the Makkah, Medina, right, towards the Kaaba. And that is considered holy in the Muslims, right? So you can't show a disrespect. So there were some Muslims passers by who came in and said, how come, this guy is putting his feet towards it? So he was sleeping, Mardana was awake, and Mardana said, hey, Guruji, and he's not intentionally done. And also Guru Nanak Ji got up and they said, what's commotion going on? They said, this guy is pointing his feet towards this. So Guru Nanak Ji, okay, you change my feet. You change my feet, you just turn me wherever you feel I am not offending. They try to turn, and the history says, the scriptures say, wherever they change the feet, the Kaaba turned, the direction turned. Can you believe it? What Lord does for his devotee. प्रबल प्रेम के पाले पढ़कर मैंने प्रभु को नियम बदलते देखा. अपना मान भले ही टल जाए, भक्तन का मान नहीं टलते देखा. That means for my devotees, I can change the entire gambit out of love for my devotee only if he surrenders. And then all the Muslim travelers who were going, they surrendered. They realized this is a realized soul. He said, please forgive me. So brothers and sisters, that like that magnetic north, we must keep pointing only to Bhagavan. That is one aspect of surrender. The second is, let's not be like a house fly which goes and falls into every flower, into every garbage, into everything. You know, anyone who comes, we go rushing to him. We go to this also, that also. Let's be one pointed, like a honeybee, only to suck the honey, only the nectar. Okay, and that's important. That's another aspect how we must think about being ourselves dedicated to Bhagavan. Again, another example which Bhagavan fondly gave in his discourses was about the Italian, pianist who was playing in the famous French music festival in some 18th century. I don't remember the exact year. And as he was getting into the stage, notching up his, violin, so it broke. One of the string broke. And then he went on to balance the other two. The second string broke. Now he had just left with one string. Brothers and sisters, he went on to the stage. He said, Panini with only one string. And history is a witness. Raptures of applause came out as beautiful music rendition came out. And Bhagavan gives these examples and says, what is this one string? That one string is Sharanagati, brothers and sisters. Tere siva Prabhu koi nahi hai. Besides you, there is nobody. And that's important for us to not only believe, to feel, to think, to breathe. All right. Only then he will think that, okay, this guy is totally loyal to me, totally surrendered to me. If I don't do, nobody will do. And that's where he comes in. Another example, beautiful Bhagavan gives of Chataka bird. Seen in many areas of central North India. However thirsty it is, it will not drink from any other water except for the rainwater. There are several water ponds and things and sources near the bird, but the bird ceaselessly waits for the rain and only the rain. It's only when the rain comes, it drinks. Otherwise, prefers to die rather than taking water from anything. Brothers and sisters, another beautiful example Bhagavan gives of Chataka bird to compare it to surrender. Are we like one of those Chataka birds that only you, Bhagavan, if not you, none? Let us look within and find the answers. The answers lies there. And if not, let us again converge all our emotions, feelings, and trust and beliefs only into Bhagavan. All right. So it's important that we have this surrender before we can desire, we must deserve. So long as surrender, again in Bhagavan says in Gita Vahini, so long as you surrender to me, as your surrender to me is equal-minded without expectations of your own, with unconditional acceptance of my will. He says, now my will. Anything happens in your life, are you ready to accept it? My grace, uninhibited by your personal preferences, affects as an immediate cure. However, if your faith is shallow and you frequently question, judge my compassion, if it is shallow, again, we spoke about faith to be 24 karat. If it is shallow, Bhagavan says, you are going farther and farther away from the warmth of my affection. Without your knowledge, you are delaying the effect of the cure. I'm reminded last weekend I spoke to Chore uncle. I'm sure we all have heard him, share his experiences. The first part, once he gets. Now, let me tell you also, Chore uncle is, I think, 72, 71 years. And he also had COVID. Okay, and it was quite bad because Delta variant, and it was quite down in the hospital for weeks. He came out, Bhagavan brought him back. And then as he was settling down, Sunanda auntie, his wife, who was very fond of my mother and mother fond of for her, she had complications. She had heart complications, blood pressure, and certain complications. Okay, organs were failing. And the doctors gave her, I'm talking about recently, 1 week back, I spoke to him. So about 4 days before that, doctors gave 4 hours survival in Hyderabad, one of the best care hospital. And brother Rajiv Chore is a director there. Oh, Rajiv Chore was a personal attendant of Swami in the early 90s or late 80s, because he came after Swami released him, he came straight away and stayed in a house for 1.5 years. He took the first job here with us when he was there, and he got married. His wife first came to our house and stayed there for a while. So they were sharing that 4 hours was given to his mother. Brothers and sisters, you are on a warrant. Your time has come. 4 hours. Who will change the destiny and the fortune? Whom do you think the praise and surrender. And that's the time the account is, look, Chore uncle has been a ceaseless Sevadal worker for decades for Swami's mission into villages and villages in Madhya Pradesh. Bhagwan had to helplessly come down. Auntie is out of danger. She has recovered. She is doing good. Her dialysis was always on earlier, but now is also on the same way. Can we have more examples? I mean, can we think of anything more than this? It's so beautiful. It was so nice to hear from them. And I'm sure once he gets a little better, he will come again and share with us so many journeys. In fact, he was the one, you remember when he shared in Madras in 70s, when Swami appeared as a bus driver, as a bus and a conductor together to take him out on the day when there were a lot of strikes. We have this recorded in our YouTube channel, which we have created. Please have a look if you haven't. So that's how he does. He wants us to accept his will. When you say, yes, Swami, whatever you will, like Professor Kasturi, I think he's the benchmark for the faith and trust. We must look for examples. Okay, there are examples in the past, Prahlad, the Meera and all, we all hear and get fascinated about. But let's also look into examples which exist now. These gentlemen, these stars in the galaxy have given us so much of inspiration to emulate them. Okay, again, it brings us back to this very important slok which we had, Ananyasya Chintayanto Mama Ye Janaha Paryupasate Shetam Nitya Bhiviyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Very important. The Lord is going to take care of everything, not only in this life, the next life. That is assurance reiterated by Swami, right? Whoever among devotees dedicates all acts to me with no other thought, serves me, worships me, remembers me, know that I'm always with him. It's important for us to know. And not only that, Bhagavan goes on further to say in Gita Vahini, whatever the name, whatever the form of worship, I am the recipient, I am the goal, I am the only one, there is no other. I myself become worshipped. You say, I myself become worshipped through my many names and forms. So no matter who is praying in Gurudwara, Masjid, Girjaghar, Mandir, anywhere, it is reaching to the one super soul all the time. Not only this, I am the fruit of all the actions, the bestower of the fruit, the basis, the prompter. Now look at this, the prompter of all. I am the force behind the birth, existence, not only the birth and death, the existence. So brothers and sisters, when we talk about my will, his will, please remember this. If things are not going wrong, it's because we are considering it as my will. But if we change it over, even in the wrong times, like a morphine injection, the pain will be optional, the pain will be there, but suffering will be optional. You will not suffer. Why? Because of this Saranagati. Then he says, realize me the primal cause, that is indeed moksha. When you realize this is moksha, he said. Even though you are alive, moving around, you will be like a Jivan Mukti, right? And that's important. That's where he decides, picks up the pen and says, okay, the prayers define that it was pre-written, but let me do it rewritten. So by prayers, by intense faith, by intense devotion, the same pre-written becomes rewritten, and Bhagwan pens down a new destiny, a new chapter in our lives, brothers and sisters. The Bhagavad Gita, and then, so we spoke about the prayers, what reach Bhagwan instantly is again Samasta Loka. I think we spoke earlier. So that is one thing. The Lord will never give up. Another Dhyana Vahini, another assurance, Bhagwan. The Lord will never give you up, considering the number of births you had. You have countless mothers, fathers. Now look at this. You have countless mothers, fathers, children, brothers, everyone enemies. Do they subsist today? No. Do they remember the relationship? No. You are no one to them and they are nobody to you. But you and they have a Lord in common, which is unchanging, relative. He subsists throughout the births. He is eternal. What greater tragedy can be this than forgetting Bhagwan? Let us absorb it. Let us understand this in the real sense it is expected to be. And there he says, I will come wherever you are. Look at this. I will come wherever you are. Only those who are immersed in divine are dear to me and my dear friends. If you want to be dear to friends of Swami, conduct yourself in a divine manner. In such case, you do not need to come here, means come to Puttaparthi. I will come to you wherever you are. I'll come there wherever you stay. I'm with you, in you, around you, behind you. I remember in early 90s, there was a conference going on in Madhya Pradesh, where when G. Srinivasan sir was the All India president. And we haven't met him. We don't know him personally. I was not there. I don't know whether my sister was there. But my mom, my dad, they were there in that conference. And out of the blue, during the break time, Brother Srinivasan came to my mom, look at this scenario. He's already a president office bearer. He comes to my mom, holds her, and says, "Do you know that Bhagavan lives with you in your house?" We don't know him. We haven't met him. It was such a moment of reassurance through him by Bhagavan, because my mother was nothing else. Tere siva Prabhu koi nahi hai. The whole life she had not watched TV once, no serials, morning to evening, only part Bhagavan, Namasmarana, Namasmarana, Namasmarana. This is what he says, "I will come to you in your home." My mother used to get this audio, the Akashvanis from Swami's answers, and she has recorded in her diaries whenever she had certain things to ask, and all her diary is full of that. I want to make that photograph. I've taken some photos, but I want to make it nicely into some kind of a journal. So Bhagavan responds like this to many devotees, depending on what is the quest, right? But that is applicable to that devotee, right? It is not said, because Bhagavan said, "I don't use mediums. I don't work through anyone." Why will such a divine soul use such an impure body? Right? So if he has to speak to you and me or guide us, brothers and sisters, he will come to us in dreams. He will come to us in some form and tell us, prompt us and tell us directly rather than using anything else. All right. So it's important to believe that he will come to us. He will stay with us. He will record it. Right. Let's look into this collated video. I know we are a little bit, but if you allow me, this is a video where quite a few insurance I've connected from a few videos and then played it.
ప్రాచీన చరిత్రాత్మకులు ఈ దుఃఖమునే ఆశించాలని సుఖాన్ని ఆశించలేదు.
In earlier days, people invited pain.
సుఖము నుండి లభించేటువంటి యొక్క ఆనందం కంటే దుఃఖము నుంచి వచ్చేటువంటి యొక్క ఆనందమే శాశ్వతమైన ఆనందం.
The bliss that you attain towards the culmination of sadness is permanent when compared to that of happiness.
మనం దుఃఖాన్ని ఏమాత్రము విమర్శించరాదు.
We should not criticize misery.
ఆనందాన్ని మనం స్వాగతం చేయరాదు.
We cannot merely invite happiness.
సుఖము కంటే ఆనందమే మనకు అమితమైనటువంటి మిత్రుడు.
And in fact, bliss is of more advantage than happiness.
కనుక ఇట్టి దుఃఖమైనటువంటి పరమ మిత్రుణ్ణి మనము నిరంతరం కూడా ఆశిస్తూ ఉండాలి.
We should always invite the troubles now and then.
మహాభారతం నందు కుంతీదేవి వచ్చి కృష్ణుని పాదములపైన పడినప్పుడు, "అమ్మా నీకేం కావాలి?" అని ప్రశ్నించాడు.
In that great epic Mahabharata, when Kunti fell at the feet of Krishna, Krishna asked her, "What is it that you want?"
కృష్ణ, నాకు నిరంతరము దుఃఖమునే అనుగ్రహించు అనింది.
Krishna, please bless me with all the troubles and problems in this life.
ఈ దుఃఖ సమయం నందే నిన్ను అమితంగా ప్రేమించాను, అమితంగా ఆరాధించాను, అమితంగా పూజించాను.
It's only in times of difficulties I love you more and more. I worship you, I extol you, I adore you.
దుఃఖము లేని సమయం లోపలను పాండురాణిగా ఉండినంత వరకు నిన్ను ఏమాత్రము నేను స్మరించలేదు.
In times of happiness, away from misery, I never thought of you.
ఏనాడు నా కుమారుడు అరణ్యవాసం చేసి కన్న కష్టములకు గురి అయినారో ఆనాటి నుండి నీ చింతను నేను అభివృద్ధి గావించుకుంటూ వచ్చాను.
That day my son started spending time in the forest. I started worshipping you more and more.
కనుక కృష్ణ నాకు దుఃఖంనే అనుగ్రహించమని ప్రార్థించింది.
So Lord Krishna, please bless me with all the difficulties.
మీరు ఎక్కడ పోయినప్పటికీ నేను వెంట ఉన్నాను.
You may go anywhere, Bhagavan is with you.
మీకు ఏ విధమైనటువంటి బాధలు వచ్చినా నేను చూసుకుంటాను.
Bhagavan will take care of all your difficulties.
ధైర్యంతో దైవం యొక్క భావమును మీరు అభివృద్ధి పరచుకొని సేవల్లో పాల్గొనండి.
With all the courage and divine thoughts to serve the society.
కొన్ని నష్టములైనా కూడా పర్వాలేదు, మీరు సహించుకొని సేవలు మానుకోకుండా ఉండండి.
You may suffer certain losses but never give up service.
హ్యాపీ హ్యాపీ. ఏది హ్యాపీ?
We say happiness. What is that happiness?
జీవితంలో ఏది హ్యాపీ లేదు.
Nothing is happy in this
అంత
world.
అప్పటికప్పటికి వస్తుంది, అప్పటికప్పుడు అంత పాసింగ్ క్లౌడ్.
Things come then and there itself and they pass on.
కానీ పర్మనెంట్ అనేటువంటి హ్యాపీ ఒక దైవత్వంతో మాత్రమే ఉంటుండాలి.
The permanent happiness is with God only.
ఇది హార్ట్ టు హార్ట్, లవ్ టు లవ్.
It is a connection heart to heart, love to love.
ఇదే మీరు పెంచుకోవాలి.
This you should develop.
ఇది మీ యొక్క నిజమైనటువంటి యొక్క భక్తి ప్రపత్తులకు సరైన నిదర్శనము.
This is the true proof of your devotion and sincerity.
స్వామి యొక్క ఆశీర్వాదములు అమితంగా ఉంటున్నాయి. మీరు సుఖంగా, శాంతిగా, ఆనందంగా భక్తి ప్రపత్తులతో జీవించి దేశానికి సరైనటువంటి యొక్క సేవలు చేయాలని నేను ఆశిస్తూ ఆశీర్వదిస్తూ నా ప్రసంగం వివరిస్తున్నాను.
You have Bhagavan's blessings in abundance. Bhagavan wants you to lead a peaceful, happy, blissful life and grow in sincerity, devotion and steadfastness, and brings his divine discourse to a close.
And that is why all of those small incidents when Swami was saying, don't go away, I will miss you if you will go away. When we sing bhajans, we sing Bhava Tita, Bhava Gochara. He's beyond all Bhava. Why did he cry like that? Why should he do all that drama? Because he wanted us to understand that he loves and he cares, and even when he doesn't give, he gives because he loves and he cares. How will that surrender come? How will we get that surrender? It can be got only by what Swami says, Shravanam. Keep listening, keep listening. When you constantly listen to all of these stories, it emphasizes to our minds that Swami can cure any problem, solve any problem, remove any pain. When we constantly listen to these stories, we understand that Swami cares and Swami loves. And tomorrow if we have a problem, and if there is a solution not forthcoming from Swami, we have to tell ourselves he can, he cares, he loves, but he chooses not to solve this problem. So we accept. This boy was suffering from some jaundice or typhoid or something. He could not come for darshan for a few days. Swami just comes up to him, standing there, and this boy gets up, little sympathy, grace you will get, right? So he got up and very pathetically and very sadly he told Swami, I'm having jaundice. Swami says, Atlana, is that so? Chala santosham. For a moment this boy is saying, what is this, Swami? And I thought there'll be some sympathy, some compassion. Swami is saying, Chala santosham. And Swami walks away. See, this contemplation only comes with God's grace. This boy goes back to the hostel. And he says, why did Swami tell Chala Santosham? This is not very right. And then he starts thinking, see, whatever we do, we go stand in the sun and do sports meet, we go and sing bhajans, we do this, we do that, we clean our toilets, we do the sweep there, do Gram Seva. Why do we do all of this? It is to please Swami, right? So he said, if I am having a problem and Swami is saying I'm happy about it, why should I be sad about it? I think that is surrender.
మనం నిరంతరం కూడా హ్యాపీగానే ఉండాలి.
We have to be happy all the time.
ఏదో కొన్ని కష్టములు నష్టములు భౌతికమైనటువంటి సంభవిస్తుంటాయి.
Difficulties and worries come in between.
ఆ సంభవించినంత మాత్రమున మనము దీనికి కష్టమని భావించకూడదు.
Because of these problems and worries, we should not
ఈ కష్టములకు మనం విచారించకూడదు.
We should not worry too much.
ఇది ఆనందమును అందించేటువంటి ప్రథమ సోపానము అని విశ్వసించాలి.
In fact, it is a step that leads you to success and happiness.
పాండవులు 14 సంవత్సరముల కష్టములు అనుభవించటం చేతనే
Pandavas spent 14 years in exile.
కట్టగడపటికి కృష్ణుడు వారి వెంట జంట ఇంట ఉంటుండి వారిని విజయవంతం గావించాడు.
For that reason, Krishna was always with them, in them, around them, above them, below them, and conferred success.
కనుక ఆ కష్టములందు కూడాను దైవం యొక్క ఆ సహాయము ఎంతైనా ఉంటుంటది.
In times of difficulties, God will stand behind you and help you.
కనుక ఆనాటి పాండవులంతా కూడాను ఫస్ట్ గాడ్.
Pandavas considered God in the first place.
నెక్స్ట్ వరల్డ్.
Next comes the world.
థర్డ్ ఐ.
And third eye.
అని వారు దాన్ని వారు వెనుక పెట్టుకున్నారు.
In fact, they kept this eye at the
ఫస్ట్
end.
గాడ్.
God comes first.
ముందు భగవంతుని పెట్టుకొని ప్రపంచమును వెనుక
first.
పెట్టుకొని నేను అనేటువంటి అహంకారాన్ని మరింత వెనుకకు పెట్టారు.
Keeping God in the first place, they kept behind I, the ego.
కానీ కౌరవులు చేసినటువంటి పని ఏమిటి?
What is that Kauravas did?
ఫస్ట్ ఐ.
They kept I in the
Next
first
world.
place. Next world.
లాస్ట్ గాడ్.
And they kept God at the end, last.
కనుకనే భగవంతుని వెనుకకు పెట్టారు.
They kept God at the end.
కనుకనే వారు అపజయాన్ని పొందారు.
Therefore they lost the battle.
ఆనందమును ఏమాత్రం వెతికినా చిక్కలేదు.
They never experienced happiness nor success.
దైవత్వాన్ని సమీపంగా చేసుకున్నటువంటి వానికి ఆనందం ఎప్పుడు కూడా నిండి ఉంటుంది.
Yeah. I think we have crossed the time. So there are a couple of things more. How we close the account now, eventually having understood and traveled this far, we will discuss that in the next one. Yeah. That is what for today. And let me just stop sharing. Yeah. So that was it, brothers and sisters. We had weeks long of this discussions on karma, destiny, his will, my will. I think pretty clear now. At least I have tried to understand it to some level, and it is requiring practice. That is nothing but his will. Yes, brother.
Just to add on, because this karma and the nishkama karma and his will and all that.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful Telugu song, very old one, Swami used to sing. I think it's there on YouTube channel. Maybe time may not permit to sing the whole thing, but the song goes like this. Satya dharmamu shanti premalato ni nitya jivana yatra saginchu jiva, and so on. So I've just shared the lyrics of this song with English translation.
Beautiful.
In a group. So I think everybody can go through that. It really gives a very clear, direction as you're talking about that compass and Bhagavad Gita about the Nishkama Karma. Swami has summarized everything of that in this song in a beautiful manner. So it's one of the best songs that I always cherish and keep in my heart. I think it's the direction that it gives the daily life.
Beautiful, brother. So now, since you are on the line, brother, so let's hear from you one of the 108 names, and then we will close.
Brother, so I once again reconfirm that he shows the way. Before we started the call, as I was talking to you also about, then I was trying to think what 108 name I'm going to say. So I just, I said, I will just, scroll the names like this with my hand on mobile, and when it stops, I will take up that. And today it stopped at Om Sri Sai Sarva Shakti Namaha. So, obviously, we discussed today a lot of discussions that you have done today about that Swami's divine power. Obviously, we all Sarva Shakti Murtaye Namaha. So, Murtaye Namaha is the Vigraha. That's his embodiment of that Shakti. So, I think no other miracle is required than the love and the path that he had shown us. But only one small miracle, or not a miracle, it's an incident that has happened. Maybe I'm not sure if I've shared earlier, but it's worth sharing. There was one Swamiji called Shraddhanandaji. And this Shraddhanandaji was in Mangalore, happens to attend one bhajan session for the first time, and he goes into Samadhi there. And in that Samadhi, he gets the vision that his Guru directing him to go and have Satyasai Darshan. So he gets through Dr. Ghadia, and they both go to Prashantinidam. Swami grants an interview. And in that interview, Swami, talks to this Shraddhanandaji, and he was about to materialize Vibhuti. And so this Swami Shraddhananda holds Swami's hand. He stops Swami producing the Vibhuti, and Swami said, "Why did you hold my hand? Why are you holding my hand?" Then he says, "Swami, I have not come here for your peppermints, peppermints and chocolates. I've come for much higher." Then Swami said very lovingly, "Would you allow me to give these chocolates and peppermints to those who need it?" And then Swami goes on and he creates that vibhuti, and he continues to give to everybody except Shraddhanandaji. Then after that, he takes one by one into the interview room, and he calls Shraddhanandaji last into that inner room. There are two rooms in the interview room. So into the inner room, Swami calls him, and then Swami opens up the two buttons of his robe, and he asks him to look at his chest. Lo and behold, he sees the darshan of his Guru, right in Swami's form. So, you see, for Swami, nothing is, as Swami said, that chapati rolling. I still remember Swami in my college interviews, when so many times He said, he repeated this sentence in my graduation interview. I can turn the sky into earth, earth into sky. Nothing is difficult for me, but I won't do it.
I won't do it.
So, but he just made this statement so casually, very easily, when we were all 75 of us packed in that small room. I can't even visualize today, looking at the dimensions of that room, how 75 of us packed in that interview room. And so, as Swami talks about the Hridaya, the heart, he mentioned the same thing as it was also mentioned by you earlier, that after many years, if you just think of this incident, you would all recall this room, all assembling there, and Swami speaking to you all. That is the Hridaya. Heart is that. So if you can recall that moment and that incident and keep me. Jai Saram. I think I'll go on and on. So. Yeah. Sarvashakti Murtaye Namaha is that he can do anything.
Yeah. So therefore, omnipotent.
He mentioned clearly there is nothing like our will. The will is only one will is there. Yeah, it's as simple.
But it was good to go through the gradient and then come to the final understanding that yes, there is nothing called my will. If it is my will, we are still derailed until we come to understanding that it is only his will which prevail. Yeah. Beautiful, Brother Shastri. Yeah, there were quite a few things which I had noted to also share, but I think we'll keep continuing. It's like Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. It is endless. Teri mahima kaha na jaye, teri mahima likha na jaye. Your glory cannot be written, cannot be said. It just goes on eternity, right? With that, I think let's wind up. Thanks for sharing. It was beautiful, brother, what you said about Swami Shraddhananda. In fact, even Swami, when he went to Rishikesh, he stayed in Swami Shivananda's ashram. The master who started the Divine Life Society. And very realized master. Swami stayed there. Swami even blessed Purushottomananda, who was there in the cave. And then when Purushottomananda put his head on Swami's lap, he could vision the entire his guru and all that. So I think there's no point in talking. Not no point. What I'm saying is there is no end to talking and detailing about his glory. And every time you speak or you share, brother, not only you get charged up, you charge everyone else and help them to connect that. Did I realize I'm so fortunate that I've got this in Biradari, in legacy, from my parents, or due to my own thing? I mean, are we realizing the importance? It's like we have a diamond, like a monkey has a diamond, but doesn't know if it's a diamond or a rock or a garbage. We have to understand what we have received in this life by his presence. All right, with that, we do Samasta Loka 3 times, and then we conclude this session. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलिए भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. I also request all brothers and sisters, please keep the people from Afghanistan who are having a lot of turmoil at the moment. Please keep praying. And we just saw that selfless prayers like Samasta Loka goes directly to the head office. Swami receives it. And then he does what is needful, what is required. On whatever his decision, our job is to reach the prayers to him. So please keep praying for this turmoil and for all that COVID turmoil that's been going on. Thank you. Have a blessed Sunday and have a great week. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Sai
Ram.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.